A while ago, I realized I have been using tier lists completely wrong. Not because the ranking were bad, but because I was treating the placement as the answer instead of asking why the hero is there. I do open the new tier list, find the S tier heroes, and immediately start thinking, okay, that's what I should build next. That's a few weeks. Then few weeks later, I do watch another experienced player using something completely different and somehow getting even better results. That's when it hit me. Maybe the ranking wasn't the information I was supposed to be paying attention to. Maybe explanation was. And to be fair, back in the days, there was just not that many tier lists. I'm just sharing one of the mistakes. And when for the first time I realized that by building tier lists, I don't give the full information. Yeah, I can say, okay, Gorish is, let's say, A tier. Kuma is a S tier. But one of the things that I'm going to change in the future for my videos is going to be I'm going to say a hero and explain very deeply why this hero is there. Because yeah, we're having more heroes, but people should know why this hero is there. Why this hero is there. And this is something that not many people actually explain their reasons. It's just the final ranking at the end of the day. And one of my favorite parts about making those videos is that we get to slow down and look at the thinking behind the decision instead of just accepting the final answer. If you enjoy those kind of conversation, I do love to have you here in the next one. So you can subscribe, also like the video if you so far agree. The more tier list I watch it, the more I notice something strange. Two experienced players could rank the exact same pairing differently, and both of them could be right. At first, that didn't make any kind of sense. How can one pairing be a A tier for one player and S tier for another? Should one of those players should be wrong, right? But then I start listening to the explanation instead of looking at the letters. One player was ranking the pairing for maximum open field performance. The another care more about long-term account value. Someone else assume you already own specific artifacts. Another assume you don't have these artifacts or pets. Suddenly the disagreement disappear. They weren't ranking the same thing. They were answering different questions. And that's when I realized the letter on the screen were never the important part. The assumption behind those letters were. Now, obviously, I don't want to say names when I say like two creators have different tier lists. You can see some creator is going to rank. I mean, for example, somebody is ranking S tier still Lilia, somebody is ranking her like A, somebody is going to rank her like B. I mean, there is a lot of different reasons behind why somebody is ranking hero a specific way. Just want to point out this thing that just there is a different foundations when you rank one hero. Because to be fair, I can say the Yu Ming alone with Dragon Fate is crazy. Without Dragon Fate, it's still very good, but there is nothing like this additional effect. Maybe this is one of the best additional effects in Call of Dragons. This is just an example with Dragon Fate or without Dragon Fate. Just the difference is crazy. The next realization was probably the one that changed how I watch almost every strategy video now. Because yeah, I also watch other content creators. I also get information, okay? Whenever someone uploads a new tier list, most viewers immediately scroll to find the S tier. And it's actually happening even with my videos, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I clearly see when you open your YouTube video, the analytics, you're going to see that there is nobody watching the beginning. Only at the end, people get the last like 15 seconds and they see who is on the top, who is at the S tier. And that's all. Over and over and over again. This is how people, just looking the tier list, which I also did it. I also want to know what is the S tier hero. But I start to do the opposite. I want to know why something ended up there. Because that's usually where the real value is hiding. The ranking tell you the conclusion, the explanation tell you how to make your own decisions later. Those are completely different things. And this is one of the main reasons, or one of the main ideas of my videos, is just to give some advice to the people to start thinking, okay, there is a new heroes coming, the Call of Dragons. Just people to have an idea how to evaluate the heroes, and not like waiting for a tier list. Obviously, if I create a tier list, this is going to give me a lot of views. One of the best performing videos I have on my channel is about the tier list. But I really want, by making this video right now, to give some idea to the people what to look for, so they don't need my tier list, even though that I want them to watch my tier list. So this is one of the main reasons I'm actually currently making this video. The funny thing is that the tier list is really just a snapshot. It captures one account, one meta, one season, one set of assumption, but your account keep moving. Your heroes improve, the new heroes arrive, artifact change, pet change. Your second and third march start becoming more important. If you blindly follow the ranking that was built for someone else's account, you might end up making investments that stop making sense only a few months later. The problem wasn't the tier list. The problem was assuming this is a permanent thing in Call of Dragons. And if one hero is S tier, it's going to be forever a S tier. And I'm going to give you an example. The most bright example I can actually give is the most popular combo in Call of Dragons. And this is Lilia with Velen. Lilia Velen was on the top of the food chain for Season 1, 1+, Season 2, 2+. For the people who don't know, especially the people who is starting playing Call of Dragons, back in the days we was having Season 1 and Season 1+, Season 2 and Season 2+. It was not like Season 1, Season 2 and etc. Just because, right now we're having way too many heroes, and to catch up with endgame players, you just skip couple seasons. Back in the days, we didn't actually skip it. But my point is, Lilia with Velen was something, absolutely crazy, something that was destroying legions. Till lately, where basically this combo, I will not even using this combo. The reason behind is very aggressive, but in the same time, a lot of things change. Infantry do crazy counterattack, cavalry bombs, invisible cavalry like Nea and Urak. Boy, if you get catched by Nea and Urak, you may not even get like 10% damage on this combo, and you're going to get destroyed. So the point I'm trying is that the things change with the time. The more I think about it, the more I believe the best strategy creators don't actually make tier lists. They explain decisions. The letters are just a way to organize those decisions. And here is the thing. I get like one of my videos where I really tried to do that was, I think was cavalry tier list that I do. And, I was going for the cavalry, the legendary cavalry. And I was going over from worst to best, okay? And I was going like this. There was not the tier list, interface when I'm moving the heroes' faces. It was like this. And people was like, okay, why don't you make the normal way the tier list, so I can just go at the last 15 seconds and see who is in the S tier and start investing in this hero. I mean, you should know the reasons why I'm doing that. What is these decisions? And this is why I organize my decisions like this. If watch a 20-minute tier list and all I remember afterwards was, what is in the S tier, I probably didn't learn very much. But if I walk away understanding why one pairing was ranked higher than another, now I can start evaluating future heroes myself. That's a skill. And unlike a tier list, that's a skill doesn't become outdated when the new hero get released. And as content creator, I have this how to say it, evaluation in my head just because I make so much content over the game. I go so much in deep of the game in the mechanics and etc. that the moment when Vardun and Cantaman come, I was thinking, oh my god, first of all, I was thinking this is going to be very good for the rally. Just because we're having, where is my Cantaman? We're having Cantaman with the rally tower tree and at the same time crazy defense reductions. This is basically looking like destroying mages. In same time for open field, Verdun and Dispel specifically. By the way, he's also AoE damage dealer, also single target damage dealer. So by Dispel alone is basically destroying infantry because defense reduction up to 40%, destroy mages, hero skill damage minus 40% for 10 seconds. For 10 seconds. This is even can be in the alliance level strategy. So, when I see the heroes, I can clearly see with who I can pair this. I don't need that much test. I mean, everything is right there. Obviously, I also make the test so the lazy people can just click on my video and get the information. But at the end of the day, I'm explaining every decision I make. And that's probably the biggest lesson I've been taking away of this. A good tier list tell you what's strong. A great tier list teach you how to think. And honestly, and I honestly believe that the difference between following the meta and actually understanding the meta. So now I'm curious, when you watch a tier list, what do you usually pay attention to first? The ranking or the reason behind? Because I have the feeling that one habit change your account a lot more than the other.